All right, John Gooden with Jack Shaw for a little UFC London catch up. So, Jack, it's been a little while since we've spoken. How's things?
Yeah, good mate. Good to be back. Good to be back, sort of within touching distance of a fight again. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have the familiarity of it all coming back in.
Yeah, I bet. And before we get into the technical details of face punching, seems like there's quite a few other things going on in your life. The most important has got to be the fact that this summer you'll become a daddy.
Yes, I'm fully relying on my dad's strength to start kicking in now in the next 2 weeks. So so I hope Matt Van's ready to deal with a bit of dad strength as well. I know he's got a kid himself, so it'll be battle of the dad and the dad to be. But yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited for it. Obviously, it's my first child, and I've always sort of knew I'd be a father eventually. I just didn't really know if it would come during or after fighting, but it's come now, and yeah, me and the missus are looking forward to it. We can't wait.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing, mate. And just to give you a little insight on dad strength, 4.5 years still waiting for some. So hopefully it serves you a little bit better than it does me. So how far along in the process are you with the house? Have you done the what do we call it now? The nursery? Is all of that built, done, flat pack furniture up?
No, not really. So basically, the room I'm in now is like my little man cave. This is going to turn into the nursery. So I've just been basically doing
sacrifices already, Jack. Yeah, sacrifices.
I've had to move my missus into the back room. Now the back room's done. I've done the spare box room, which is going to be the new man cave. So now get the fight out the way. All this stuff will be moved into there, and then I got to make a crack on with this room then. So yeah, we've been busy. We're kind of like just baby proofing the house at the minute. But obviously I've had to put it on the back burner for a couple of weeks as the fights got a little bit closer. But don't worry, it's very much in the back of my mind. I'm a little bit like OCD, and as long as there's stuff to be done, it's constantly ticking over in the back of my head. So I'm constantly chipping away here and there. But yeah, I'm relatively organised, all things considered. Whether that will remain the case, I don't know. But so far so good.
Yeah, babies tend to throw a spanner in the works to most things, but no, it certainly changed me for the better, and I'm sure it will to you too. Other changes as well. A little bit bigger out there, Jack, aren't you?
Yeah,
I can see it in the old shops. This time before a fight, you used to look, if I think I'm allowed to say it now, you used to look pretty dreadful.
yeah, you telling me? Well, to be honest, I didn't realise how fucking dreadful I look. I think now I've gone up a week, everyone's sort of coming clean and being like, "Oh, you don't look like you're dying no more." It's funny because I do my S&C and my diet with Paul Reed now, and and Paul is like commissioned or worked on the commission for a couple of my British fights, and then obviously now me and him have developed like a friendly relationship. He kind of says to me now, he's like, I remember seeing you some fight weeks and thinking like, yeah, he's in the wrong weight class. But yeah, obviously new weight, new sort of approach to training and strength work and stuff like that. So I guess we'll see how it pays off on a week Saturday.
Well, let's dial in on that then, because Paul Reed, I mean, I'll very quickly just say he's involved in the English Mixed Martial Arts Association. He works with a lot of the guys at Next Gen in Liverpool, including Paddy, which I'm sure gives him nightmares working with Paddy, but there's a bunch of other fighters that do look ripped 365 days a year, and a bunch of guys in the boxing world. So just to give a little perspective on Paul's experience. But did he really say he thought you were in the wrong weight class? Because maybe like metabolically that might be the way, but you've kind of been successful as a bantamweight. I think you still got a number 15 against your name as well.
Yeah. Well, cut a long story short, Paul's been saying to me for about, because me and my old man have known Paul for years, and he's been saying to me for about like 18 months, I'd say 2 years. You know, he knows a guy up at the university in Liverpool. He's like, come and get a DEXA scan. He's like, oh, my guys do it. It'll let you know kind of your muscle mass, your ideal walk around weight, you know, if you need to go up, if you can go down, all types of stuff. So I've obviously picked up a knee injury then in August, and wasn't out of the gym, but obviously I had a lot more spare time on my hands, so I couldn't quite train as much. I was just rehabbing my knee, and I thought to myself, you know, the weight cut, truth be told, like the last 4 fights has been pretty tough and pretty horrific. And it hasn't been through like lack of discipline with a diet. You know, it hasn't been through lack of training. As you know yourself, I'm one of those that's in the gym pretty much every day, regardless of a fight. So I thought, let's just go up. My old man's been on to me for about 12 months, to be honest, to think about moving up to featherweight. But as you said, the fact that I was just so successful and the fights were going so well, you just kind of put it on the back burner. Do you know what I mean? The weight cut's a bit rubbish, and then you get a win and you kind of forget about it till the next time. Obviously lost in my last fight, and the weight cut for that one, like the fight before, it was really tough. But for this fight, so between fighting Tamil and Ricky, I really kept my weight down low. I didn't fluctuate. I made a real conscious effort to stay within like the sort of 20-pound range then of bantamweight. I think the heaviest I went up to was like 161, 162, and I was kind of eating not the best, if that makes sense. So I thought, right, the weight just seemed to be like I was in shape and training hard, and my weight just seemed to naturally be a lot higher than what I was when I was 21, 22 years old. So my old man was on my case. We need to move up, and I was like, right, let me go and get this scan done. Let me speak to Paul. Let me speak to some of the doctors and the scientists up there, and let's see what they say, and let's make like a lot. Let's not just jump into it. Let's make a choice that's like got a bit of backing and a bit of evidence to it. So I went up, seen Paul, and doctor, I think I can't remember his name. It's John something, Scouse guy, and done the scan, and pretty much straight away they were kind of like, look, you need you're fighting the inevitable base. You need to move up. You're too big for that weight class. You know, they started comparing my metrics to featherweights, or you know, guys who box at the same weight on their system, and they're like, you know, you're just as tall, you're just as big. At the time, you know, I wasn't carrying a lot of muscle mass, and I had quite a few like worrying deficiencies that kind of come on from doing bad weight cuts base, and they kind of said you're a ticking time bomb. You know, if you keep cutting like this,
oh dear,
you're gonna end up, I don't want to say killing yourself, but you're gonna put yourself in either in a bad position, or you're gonna risk something long term. And to be honest, that was all I needed to hear. Like, you know, I don't want to like sound cringe, right? But if something goes wrong in the cage, you know what you signed up for. It. You signed up, and I chose to do that. But I don't want something to go wrong in the weight cut, or something to happen in the weight cut that's going to affect my health long term, that doesn't actually involve fighting. And so we sat down. I come home, spoke to my old man. We arranged to call Paul, and you know, we had a good in-depth conversation, and we just eventually made the decision to move up a weight. And you know, without speaking too soon, I felt all the better for it. Sorry to waffle on quite a bit there, but it wasn't like you know, it wasn't one of them where you just lost the fight and thought, right, let's just move up a weight and see how that goes. You know what I mean? It was a long process, and a lot of thought, and there was a lot of pushback from me, and then when I went up and done and seen the scientific stuff, I was like, right, then let's do this. If we're going to do it, let's do it properly.
Yeah. And I guess you know, you've got to do it before you start getting involved in really serious fights at bantamweight, where you know, the money's there and the gold is starting to appear. So now it does sound like a good opportunity to take that. Well, I know it's not quite John Jones, 3 years to make the weight class. Heavyweight slightly different than going between bantam and feather. But has that meant you've had to lift around a little bit of steel?
Yeah, so like, I think I'm probably a little bit bigger than what people anticipate. Like, you know, there's bantamweights in the gym then, and I'm looking at them now, and I'm a hell of a lot bigger than them. I kind of thinking, how did I used to kind of make the same weight they did? But, you know, again, it was we done it properly. It wasn't just kind of like, right, I'm moving up the weight so I can slack off the diet and eat a little bit more, and just not have to worry about cutting and running so much. You know, again, I go back. I was injured from August to December, so I couldn't do a real lot of martial arts training. It was a good chance for me to work with Paul and put on some muscle, lean muscle, get a little bit bigger, you know, pump my strength numbers up, approach the diet differently to where that not I necessarily want to put on weight, but that I just want to be able to carry a little bit more muscle. And I feel great for it. I feel great in the gym. This camp has been sort of just solely focused on my opponent and my skill work, and with a little bit of cardio and strength stuff factoring around it. Whereas usually, like, I'm not exaggerating, I'd be running twice a day, 5 days a week sometimes, just to concentrate on getting my weight down to make bantamweight. And looking back, you know, I'm not making excuses because I had a really good run at bantamweight, but it probably did it. What I'm doing stuff I was always doing stuff in the gym that I couldn't necessarily seem to do on fight night. And again, when you're winning and winning and winning, you kind of just put it in the back of your head and think, well, you're still winning. You obviously it doesn't matter. But then obviously to pick up that loss, and it made me think about it a little bit. Am I sort of leaving my best self in the gym and in the sauna rather than in the cage? So yeah, I feel really good. I feel fitter, stronger. I'm the boys in the gym will vouch that I'm doing a lot better in terms of, you know, I'm not drained at this stage. I'd just be a bag of bones, just trying to get through the rest of camp and make it the fight week. Whereas I still feel energized. Done 2 sessions this morning, and I think we're more like 13 or 12 days out from the weigh-in, whatever it is. So yeah, I feel great. I feel good.
Magic. Well, good to hear that. And because it's always, I guess, everyone around you when they're seeing you go through these weight cuts, it's just such a horrible process. You're still going to have one, of course, but to hear that there was potentially, you know, maybe it was going to be an organ damage that you were referring to. You know, horrible to hear that. So I'm glad that you're taking yourself out of that red zone. With all of that positive stuff, I'm sorry to have to do this to you, Jack, but it would be remiss of me if we didn't talk about your last fights. A lot of people, John Kavanagh, win or learn. You know, that's the thing. And let me break it down in this way then. After having such a positive run, I know that you're quite a realist as a person, but how did losing that affect you?
It was a weird one, John, to be honest, because I always knew, and I don't want to always say I knew a loss was always inevitable, but in this sport, people do lose very rarely. I think, you know, you've got Khabib and John Jones, other than that, there's not many guys at the top who don't pick up losses. It was one of them. Also, I was devastated at the time, but you know, it's almost as if I've got like a monkey off my back, because anyone ever wanted to talk to me about fight week was, oh, you're unbeaten as a pro, unbeaten as an amateur. You know, do you feel the pressure of being unbeaten? You know, do you feel pressure keeping it? Well, do you think you'll be able to beat this record and our record? And it's kind of like you're almost fighting to not lose rather than fighting to win sometimes. And it just made me realize a lot of things. It was kind of like, yeah, it stung for a couple of days, and then you get back in the gym and you start seeing your family and your teammates and your friends. It's like nothing really changes. You know, as much as I'm engrossed in fighting, it is only one aspect of my life. You know, nothing changes aside from this. There's now a one where there used to be an O on my record, and you know, it wasn't like I went in there. You know, not I used to ever be happy with losing, but it's not like I went in there and got whitewashed. I felt like I was in the fight till I wasn't. I had my moments, and you know, I was against a really, really high level guy in Ricky Simone, who's looking like he's probably gonna, if he beats Song now, he's gonna be knocking on the door of maybe a number 1 contender shot or something like that. So, you know, it's one of them. It stung, but you know, I didn't forget about it, but I go over it fast. You know, I'm a martial artist at heart, and I've lost before in other disciplines, and it was just, I always knew that's how it would go. It kind of be like, right, let's see where we went wrong, and let's see what we can address, and let's see how we get better to make sure it doesn't happen anytime soon again.
Yeah, nice one. I know that you suffered a knee injury that you were saying, but there's still a lot of time in between where you can develop that martial arts side of things. Like, what can Jack Shaw fans be excited about on the back of, obviously there were a couple of minor details that you would have identified from that fight?
Again, I think a lot, just approaching it now, like if you're a fan of mine, I just feel this fight you can look forward to seeing me do what I can do in the gym. You know, not coming in the off a back end of a brutal 2-week weight drain and a weight cut. You know, I'm going to be in there fully filled, fully energized, and that monkey's kind of off my back now. I'm not just going in there to fight to not lose. I'm going to go in there and try and put him away. And as much as I try to do that in my previous fights, there is, you know, you are when you're fighting to double your money, essentially you are just trying to win by any means. But now it's kind of like, right, well, I've picked up a loss. I know what it feels like. I know it's not necessarily the end of the world, but I don't want to feel it again. But the fact that I feel like fully filled and like I feel like an athlete this camp. I don't just feel like a guy who's trained martial arts and I've had to run like 50 k's weight down. I feel like an athlete, and I feel like I'm going in there and ready to kind of reach my full potential and, you know, put on a performance that's going to show that why people were excited about me in the first place.
Well, I think that will, Jack, honestly, I think that remains, people are excited about. I don't think that will ever change in your style, but I'm interested. You know, I've only been and seen you do a little bit of work before at the gym, but specifically, I know you're saying more energized, but you show a lot of MMA in every one of your performances. Your striking, your jab, even your kicking game. Then you close the ranges really well. You get great takedowns, and then you're an absolute nightmare in terms of your submission threat. So, you know, there's a lot to be excited about anyway, but just give us a flavor of, and maybe this is specific to Makwan, but what more is there on top of that it is that you and the team are excited about demonstrating?
I think we're just about kind of displaying that old school, you know, Jack show where, like, we all know Makwan's a really high level wrestler and he's got really good submission threats, but let's look back to some of my earlier fights in Cage Warriors and UFC. That's what I was always known for. And people are kind of probably just looking at it like, you know, well, Jack's going to go out there and try and outstrike him and not get involved in a tangle, you know. But I'm very much confident in my wrestling and my grappling. I just fought a guy, Ricky Simone, who's top 10 in the world, and he hit me with a few takedowns, but he didn't do a great deal with them. And I just feel like to go in there now, filled up and energized, not drained, when someone's trying to do that to me now and I'm stopping them from doing it, I'm going to have a lot more energy to capitalize and sort of enforce my game. And that's what this fight's all about, to be honest. Is not worrying about my opponent, not going out and worrying about what he's going to do to me like the last few fights have been. I think maybe I got caught up in that a little bit in the last fight, kind of more concerned about what he was going to do to me rather than what I was going to do to him. You know, this fight, I'm just going to go out there and just show a full display of martial arts. Like you said, whether that be taking him apart on the feet, closing the distance, and when I'm ready, putting my hands on him and putting him under pressure on the ground, and wherever it's going to be, defending for a little bit and making him panic, and then coming up and sort of doing damage there. I'm just going to go out there and fight like I used to, like a full GSP style. Like, right, if I got to strike, we'll strike. If we got to wrestle and grapple it, then we'll do that as well. But I'm not going out there with a game plan of, let's do this just to make sure we beat him. Now I'm just going to go out there and fight like a true martial artist would, and take it as it comes and be ready to go in all areas.
I have 100% heard what you've just said there, but I do feel like Makwan certainly has a very special skill set. That anaconda choke, for example, there's no secret.
I wouldn't know what you're going to say. I wouldn't know how it.
Well, exactly. You know, and he's been trying to hit that. I remember him telling me how many different ways that he can get this choke. So as much as you're saying that, I would imagine that there's been an element of, or maybe not, you know, drilling headlock series stuff and how to maybe impose your game with
yeah, of course. Obviously, we'd be foolish not to sort of take on board how good he is at that and not sort of proud self in that position in training. But there's been plenty of rounds starting from that position. You know, he likes to go for it off the back take. He likes to go for it off the opponent attacking for the takedown. He likes to go for it off the front headlock series. There's a lot of different ways he does it. There's a certain way he does it when he's against the cage. There's a certain way he does it in open play. And I'll be prepared for it. You know, I'm a student of the game. I'm always watching tape. I'm always watching ways how he does it. And I think to truly understand or defend a certain position, you've got to know how to attack it as well. And when I'm sort of no-gi grappling and gi grappling, I like the front headlock position for anacondas and darts. You know, I understand the position very well. I understand I've got to manipulate my opponent in order to catch him in that sub. Hence why, you know, I also know when defending that position what way they want me to go. His attack's a little bit more unorthodox than how a lot of people attack it, but you know, I've got some good level coaches, some high level coaches who've not only broke it down with me, but have put their own little spin on things as well. So, of course, I'll be ready for that. you know, he's world class at that, isn't he? We've seen it. He's been losing fights 2-3 rounds down and then pulled out the bag. He's pulled it out. He pulled out against Grundy 20 seconds in. So that's something I've got to be ready for. But again, I'm not going to get fully engrossed in, let's go out there and be on the defensive and make sure I don't get anaconda choke. You know, I'm fully confident if I find myself in that position, then I have a really good shot at defending it. You know, but the best way to defend it is not get put in it in the first place.
Yeah,
so
yeah, of course.
That's you know, that's what I'm obviously going to be looking to do. But he is very good at putting himself in positions where he can at least attempt it, if not finish it.
I might be way off here, but it's just an aside, so humour me for a moment, but I'm really impressed with the rise of professional grappling out of Wales. You've got the Williams brothers, I know Chris Rees and his students, and then like Fionn and on the female side of things. I know that you've got a bunch of great grapplers at the gym. Specifically, there's a really nice MMA style of grappling down at Shaw Martial Arts as well. Have you borrowed anyone from like that grappling scene to help you out with this fight in particular, or just to up the skill level?
No, just the boy. Just use the boys in the gym, because I don't think he attacks our position in terms of like our pure grappler would. A pure grappler kind of would attack it. I don't know. I feel like he's very much predominantly wrestling based, so he gets that position a lot of the time from enforcing his wrestling. From you'll see him jump from the back to work to the front there. These are all against the kids. He's only really MMA positions, and I don't think, as good as elite level grapplers are, I don't think they necessarily do things the same way that MMA fighters do, in terms of when the cage is involved, when you're worried about, you know, going from a takedown into the front headlock. But I've got some real good submission guys in the gym. You know, I've got obviously Brett Johns, who's as good a wrestler you're going to find on the UK circuit. Guys like Kane Darcy, Liam Davis, Josh Reed, who've all got like this freakish, bizarre set strength squeeze where, you know, if especially like them three, if they get you in a guillotine, a anaconda, or a dash, you're in a lot of trouble. So I've just been putting myself in positions, really giving them the upper hand, letting them lock it in, and kind of patiently working through my defense. And all these are MMA boys, you know, they're not out and out grapplers. They're guys who are gonna try and latch it on from the back, or they're gonna try and latch on and try and walk me into the cage to shut me down. So I haven't necessarily worked with no pure grapplers. Just had full faith in the boys around me.
Yeah, nice one. So what's the ambition now then, taking on the 145-pound division?
It remains the same. You know, I want to fight the best guys, and I obviously want to work my way towards the top. I'm 28 years of age now, so I feel like I'm starting to mature in my career to the point where I'm not kind of like foot to the floor under mile an hour. I want to get a rank, I want to get top 10, I want to get top 5. Let's get this fight out the way, and let's start, you know, building against some of those better guys. Featherweight is very much like bantamweight. I think there's a lot top guys who are not even ranked that could all be real good level contenders. So, you know, I'm not one to kind of jump the queue. If I get a good win against Makwan, then I'm happy to work my way up and sort of, you know, as Welsh guys, we don't seem to get the fast track like everyone else. We kind of like got to make sure that we earn what we got. You know, we're not the most. We don't come from like a big city or a big publicized area. You know, we're up in the valleys, in the mountains, hidden away pretty much till we get there on fight night. So I'm happy to work my way up, and yeah, you know, there's no rush for me. I'm enjoying getting better. At 28, I still feel like I'm making improvements from camp to camp in the gym, and get a good win here, and we'll see what the rest of the year holds then.
Very nearly, well, that's my take. Very nearly, we had a UFC in Cardiff, actually, at the Millennium Stadium. I mean, I don't know how close the UFC were to that, or whether it was just the PR machine working overdrive. So it nearly happened, Jack, you know, and it nearly got a home call. But UFC London, you've obviously had a great deal of success there before. Are you happy to go back to the O2, and what kind of reception are you expecting?
Yeah, of course. I love fighting. To be honest, I love fighting. Every fight experience I've ever had in London has been A1. I always have a good ovation. Because I think we kind of get this like complex that, you know, Wales and England are rivals in like football and rugby, that like perhaps the English wouldn't want the Welsh to do well. But no, probably 50+% of my fan base, and the majority of my fan base, or not majority, but a good part are English. You know, like the amount of messages I have on Twitter and Instagram, and people buying my t-shirts and merchandise. A lot of them are English guys. And when I went up to the O2 last time, we thought we had like a party, and me and Molly and I had like an after party, and then the amount of English guys up there, like Jack Shaw t-shirts, and like we're like happy to have a Welsh flag around them for a picture and stuff like that. You know, I always have a good reception up there, and I think it'll be the same again. You know, I don't know where I am on the card. I think I'm on maybe the upper end of the prelim, so I think the arena will be relatively full, I would guess. So it was a mental ovation last time, and I think I was like 4th on. So I'm expecting a good ovation, and the fact that it's a pay-per-view, I expect it to be full early, especially the price of tickets. If you're paying that sort of money for tickets, you should want to watch every fight anyway. So I'm expecting a good ovation, and I enjoy fighting in London. You know, fight week is a lot easier. You can get out and have a walk about, and the O2 is a great venue as well. It's almost like the crowd's on top of it. Cardiff would have been nice, of course, but maybe that's one for the future.
Yeah, exactly that. So perfect situation then, Jack, given, you know, everything that's gone on in the last 6 months, what you've got coming up in the next kind of few months as well. If you could package it up, that fight, what it looks like and how it finishes, give us a sense of what it would be.
It would be, you know, I want to come from you, and regardless of whether it ends in the first round, the second round, the third round, I want people to think, do you know what, that last fight the album was just an hiccup. I want him to think he's still a force to be reckoned with. He still is who everyone seems to be saying he is, and he's still got potential to go on and be a top level fighter. I'd love to get a finish. I say that. Maybe I should start saying I'm going to win by decision, because every time I say I'm going to win by finish, I seem to come out with a decision. So if I start predicting a decision win, perhaps I'll get a finish. But look, I'll give Mac one credit. He doesn't come to sort of look for this. He comes to finish. He kind of goes balls to the wall. And I think if I fight someone like that who's not going to come to outpoint me, and I think it makes for an exciting fight. And I think eventually it'll open up opportunities for me to put him away, whether that be on the feet or on the go. And that'd be something if I end up subbing him. You know, everyone talking about how good he is on the floor, which is warranted, and he deserves it. But you know, don't forget the power of the Welsh Richard Shaw Jiu-Jitsu. Let me tell you, it's still alive and strong, and hopefully I'll get to show it.
Love it. Jack, thank you so much for the timeouts. It's a big countdown now to UFC London, only a week away before I'll be meeting you in the halls of the Fighter Hotel. Thank you for doing this. Send my regards to your dad as always. And I hope the remaining couple of days goes well for you back home.
Yeah, top man, John. Thank you very much.
All the best. Cheers, mate.